Right, now, before Carol Huff joins us to reveal where is our place of the day, could video link lessons be rolled out across schools in Scotland? There's a scheme already in place in the Western Isles called e-Sgoil, which broadcasts lessons across the islands from Stornoway. But they're also now reaching and teaching pupils in Aberdeen, even down in Bishopbriggs. Deputy First Minister John Swinney has said that these cyber classes could be a solution for the teacher shortage on a wider scale. So we thought we would investigate just a little bit more about how this actually works. We've got Angus MacLennan with us, who's a head teacher with e-Sgoil in the Western Isles, and also lead data and technology at the University of Glasgow. So good morning, Angus and Lee. Good morning. In practical terms, I mean, you're pretty familiar with this now, yeah?
Yes, this was going to be our proof of concept year, but as things have worked out, we hit the ground running within a couple of days of us opening last August. Hazelhead Academy from Aberdeen approached us. They had a crisis in staffing. Their Gaelic teacher had left. It would mean that they would have to disband Gaelic classes. So we started teaching, set up a base in Shawbus School, one of our satellite schools, and started teaching to Hazelhead Academy. And we've been doing that since last August, keeping classes from S1 to S5 going as they try to recruit a member of staff. Right,
OK. So the pupils are in their school in Aberdeenshire, yeah?
Yeah, pupils are in their school in Aberdeenshire. Classes are relatively small. The teacher works 2 days a week in the Nicholson Institute in Stornoway. She lives on the west side of Lewis, so we set up a room for her in the school next door to her, or in the next village to her home, and she has been teaching using two screens, one screen to watch the class, and the second screen, she brings up the pupils' work, shares documents with them, etc., etc. She can correct their work in real time, formative assessment at its best. It's been working very, very smoothly. We've had very few technical issues. There's inevitably teething troubles with this kind of project, but we were very pleasantly surprised with how well Hazelhead has worked to date.
Right. And for the pupils, what do they experience from their end of things?
They're supervised in the class by another member of staff, as is normal in a school when a teacher is absent. The teacher is fully interactive. The teacher from Shawbus interacts with them as if they were in the classroom. They're able to respond in real time. If there's any kind of potential hiccup, the teacher will have emailed the work in advance. She also puts everything into the OneDrive cloud storage that they use, so it's a built-in braces job. So we're trying to make sure that there's continuity of experience for the children, supposing there was a technical glitch. I've seen the teacher helping them to do a wall display where a child is using the camera that's in the room to follow her peer group while they're putting up the wall display, being instructed on how to do it from Shawbus. So it is all totally interactive.
Right.
It's not online learning as we would expect from the university,
right.
Open University.
And are the young people all looking at one screen?
Yes.
Right.
Or they can have either a large screen in the room, or in some classes that we're working with, they have individual laptops.
Tablets or laptops.
Yeah. Yes. It can be either or. We're not fixed. It's very much up to the receiving school how they want to progress on that. The only thing that we insist on is that they use vScene, which is a Skype-like web browser-based platform, and Glow 365, the Scottish Schools Digital Network.
Right, okay. And as a teacher, have you used the system?
Yes, I have. Yes, I've been teaching to Bishopbriggs Academy.
Right. And how does it feel for you as a teacher?
For the first couple of lessons, it is slightly strange because you have to adapt your behaviour, but You can't obviously be as mobile in your classroom as you would be normally, but it's surprising how quickly you adapt. And we've got to remember that the generation that we're teaching, that's basically second nature to them. They are living in a digital age, digital world. They don't see the problems that maybe people of my generation see.
Yeah. And do you feel as able to sort of pick up the cues from, the class? Teachers get used to having not just eyes in the back of their head, but eyes all over, don't they? The one who's sitting over there maybe yawning, the one who's sitting over here doing something else. Are you able to do that?
In an ironic way, it's easier in some respects because you see them in close proximity because you've got the camera on the whole class, and that's where you, as a teacher, have to be very careful that your emotions or whatever, that you're careful how you express them in front of the camera as well, because they're magnified to your class as well. So there are procedures and products we discuss with teachers before they start delivering online learning. Yeah.
Interesting. Let's bring in Lee. Hi, Lee.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning to you. Can you see the potential for this being, rolled out on a wider scale across different subjects? And
yeah, absolutely. I think what's been described this morning is incredibly exciting. I think we've always had a history in Scotland of similar practices, or we've tried to aspire to similar practice. But what we've been hearing about this morning is a more structured approach to delivering expertise into a school remotely, where that expertise doesn't necessarily reside locally. And that's the bit that excites me. I think we've tried to do that in many respects in the past. So just to give you an example, I was recently in a primary school where they were talking about space as a theme, and the school had organised people from NASA to talk about their experiences and the kind of work that they were involved in, and they were based in the United States. So obviously in an ideal world you'd bring them into the classroom, but using technology allows us to do that. So absolutely there's certainly a huge amount of potential here.
I mean, obviously for those special occasions such as you describe, or perhaps less mainstream subjects, the potential is great. There might be people who are slightly concerned that this would become a kind of mainstream way of teaching, and that actually, perhaps a lack of physical teachers would be made up for in this way. Is that something you would be concerned about?
I think it's right to have those concerns, and I think those kind of questions need to be asked. I would always be an advocate for using technology to support and enhance learning and teaching. I would be wary about using it to replace teachers per se. I think what we heard this morning is that there are teachers located in the receiving classrooms who are there to help the young people learn and to facilitate the learning, though they might not necessarily have the expertise. But I think to replace teachers and to roll it out to a larger scale, in order to do that, it might happen one day, but I think we're a little bit further away from that at the moment.
What would you think of that, Angus?
I agree wholeheartedly. We're not about replacing teachers, and we have to be very sure that message goes out. We're about adding value, about plugging gaps, about delivering, expanding provision where it's not feasible for a teacher to be engaged in, say, just now somebody starting off Gaelic medium education with very, very small numbers in remote rural schools, or indeed in the cities. We could possibly help to establish a Gaelic medium provision, but then we would be looking to the authorities as quickly as possible to staff these. So it's certainly not about replacing teachers in any shape or form.
But then, if it works successfully and it gives a good education experience, potentially an enhanced education experience, why not?
Well, that's a very, very good point, because if you look at what colleges and universities are delivering at the moment, a lot of it is done online. And senior pupils, especially advanced higher pupils, need to make sure that they're familiar with this kind of approach to learning before they progress from what could be small rural secondary schools where they're very highly supported to a large teaching situation such as Glasgow University, Aberdeen University or whatever. By having to do more online learning, by having to do directed learning, that could prepare them better for their tertiary education experience.
Well, yeah, but I mean, again, and Lee, I'll bring you in. Both you and Angus kind of balked at the prospect of this being used to replace teachers as such, but why not?
I think there's a lot of things that teachers do to humanise learning and to place it into context and to build the rapport and relationship with young people. And I'd be wary about losing that. I think teaching is more as a profession than just delivering content. There's a whole variety of other things that go along with that. And just to echo the point that was just made, not only are the young people in this particular instance learning about the subject knowledge, they're actually learning how to use those technologies. And that's a skill that we want all our young people to be able to aspire to, because that's what they'll be expected to do in the future in their world of work and life. So it's not just about delivering the content, it's about delivering how to use the technology effectively and with real purpose.
Right, okay.
Sorry,
Angus.
We've made sure that wherever we're delivering, that the teacher who's going to be delivering goes and visits these pupils initially to make sure that there is that relationship that the other speaker alluded to there, that there has to be the human contact element of it. And for instance, Hazelhead Aberdeen, the teacher goes out regularly to make sure that the pupils are comfortable with what's being delivered, to check up, to do the listening and talking exercises that can only be done realistically in the one-to-one situation as well. And there's all things like SQA regulations that we have to adhere to as well. So we're very much into a blended learning approach. It's not online in the traditional sense of online learning.
Yeah, but nevertheless, it's good to hear that it's working well in that context and has potential as a kind of additional asset in terms of education. Angus, thank you very much, Angus MacLennan, and also to Lee Dunn. We've got some more guesses in for Name the Place. Somebody asking, is it Paisley? No, it's not. Somebody asking, is it Montrose? No, it's not.